but for the rest of the party, no excuses, bitch. Keep rolling.
Tough shit.
Trains
Wait,
going.
did they call that day or did they just no call, no show?
Some people just don't show up.
Okay, so if it's a no call, no show, I would give them nothing because that's a lack of respect. You made no attempt. You made no attempt to cancel.
Restaurant Punk, what's up? Restaurant Punk.
Wow.
In the house.
Restaurant Punk.
Featuring
Me.
And me.
and also me.
Me.
And now you know us.
Welcome back.
Welcome, everyone. How are we today?
Nico, I feel like it's been a while since we've been in one of these little
Shindigs.
squirrels together.
Squirrels, yeah. It's been a while. You haven't been around.
Oh, that was the passive aggressive.
Why is it always that's a negative manner? You haven't been around because you've been busting your ass off, getting Petunia, Prohibition Creamery,
Bussin'.
dealing with other things. It's a positive thing, not a negative.
Okay.
This world and their negativity. So I believe in an episode, you guys were discussing about OpenTable, not knowing about it. And you do have the option through a separate third party to charge guests if they don't show up or if they cancel super last minute with no reason, right? So let's say you do that, but then you have that party at 12 that just didn't show up, call and demand their money back because you charge them whatever ridiculous amount or non-amount. Like, how do you handle that? Like, how do you deal with the excuses that some people give when they call and they leave a message? Oh, we can't come in tonight. Sorry for that. And then you charge them like, oh, well, my grandmother was sick and my uncle flew down and he couldn't catch the train properly and we couldn't show up. Like, how do you handle that? Are you adamant about keeping that charge?
Well, then for your grandmother and your uncle, we will discount the charge for them, but for the rest of the party, no excuses, bitch. Keep rolling.
Tough shit.
Trains
Wait,
going.
did they call that day or did they just no call, no show?
Some people just don't show up.
Okay, so if it's a no call, no show, I would give them nothing because that's a lack of respect. You made no attempt. You made no attempt to cancel.
Mind you, I agree with you 1,000%. But then you do have those instances, if it was true that they got into a car accident and they couldn't show up and the last thing on their mind is to call the reservation and cancel it. I get it. But it's become far too often that people just disrespect. They'll make so many reservations for the same time frame for the same day while they're coming down for the season.
And then they pick and choose which
they
place
pick that
they
one
want.
and just cancel the rest of them. Like, it's no big deal. And knowing that you're going to get charged, they're going to fight it. They're going to fight. It's okay. It's no big deal. They're going to dispute it with their credit card company. It's going to get reversed.
So on OpenTable, it does state that, correct? Is that not binding?
Yes.
Is that not binding according to the credit card company?
Not to the credit card company. That's the problem. That's the tricky part with that little loophole that has been figured out. Because technically with a credit card company, it's about goods or services. Doesn't really hold for a reservation hold or not showing up for whatever policy you have. So people can fight it, which is very unfortunate. But you could also lose it. You could fight it, but lose, depending on the proper...
Let's say they fight it, they win it.
Yeah.
Do you ban them?
Yep.
Good.
Always.
Yeah,
I have
because
so many bans.
you know, I feel like people who do that are people who've never worked in the industry. Like, do you know what it's, you're not just affecting like the restaurant, or you're affecting the server. And if it's a larger party and they're holding that section, those 2 tables or 3 tables put together for an hour and call no show or you cancel, the server's not making money. They're not making tips. You know, the owner's not making money. It's just so selfish.
Well, I take it a step further because I agree with everything you're saying, but they're not realizing they're also affecting other customers trying to get a reservation.
That's true too.
That they couldn't. So they couldn't dine at the establishment and then you don't show up and it's just empty tables.
Take it even further, the amount that we ordered that week because we anticipated big parties. Okay, great. Now we have all this extra food and now it's so last minute that people didn't even bother to make a reservation because for the last 2-3 weeks, it said that it was booked because you just wanted to, like, because we are facing the same problem where people will make, like we had someone have a party of 8 and they made a reservation for Monday and Tuesday because they weren't sure which day, which we called them and we were like, we noticed that you made 2 reservations. He's like, I'm just waiting to hear back from my family. I just wanted to secure a spot, but I'll let you know like within days of it happening. Now, mind you, there was communication. The guy texted Peter. Peter forgot about the text. I called the same day and was like, what's going on? You still have 2 reservations? He's like, I texted Peter. And I was like, got it. my bad. But there's people who do that and who don't have the courtesy to reach out. You know, like at least this guy was very respectful about the whole thing and did get back to us in time. But we've had so many cancellations because people just restaurant hop or they make a bunch of reservations and then they decide once everybody gets on the same page of what they want to eat, they cancel everything else or they call with a piss poor excuse or they don't call at all.
Yeah.
And then we call 15 minutes after they haven't showed up to the reservation and we try to give them a heads up. And they're like, well, I called earlier. Like, I'm so sorry. I checked all the voicemails. We didn't have I left a voicemail. Like, I am so sorry. Again, we have no records of any voicemails from earlier this morning or yesterday to today calling and stating that, nor do we have a message on OpenTable, which you are capable of messaging us on OpenTable.
Right.
So at the end of the day, there's different avenues of you being able to contact us to tell us. You didn't.
Right.
That's not our bad. You know what I mean? And now it's 15 minutes past your reservation and nobody is capable of booking that 6 p.m. time. It's 6:15.
Correct.
And you know, most of the time those stories are lies. They are flat out lies. I don't care. And the more elaborate it is, the higher the chances of lie. 100%. And so there's that. And the other thing was at Shimon, so they order and they make and they prep for the amount of people that are coming in for that night. So there was a table. It's like 7:10. They're not there. Everyone else is sat. So Nick called and asked, you know, are they going to make it? Like, oh, we don't think we're going to make it there in time. Do you think you could call? I mean, because now that's food that's for
already
you.
prepared.
It's not going to be sold to anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just one seating.
Yeah.
And it's like stuff like that. Like people, they ended up changing the reservation to another day, but still wasted food.
But see, then there's that loophole too, is that people will be like, oh, to avoid the charge, I'm so sorry we can't make it today. Can we make it for next week? And then next week rolls around, hey, we're not going to be able to make it in this week. Can you make it for next week? And then they continue to do that. So
You
that way
let
they
them?
avoid the charge.
You let them?
So it's also hard because unless you are really looking in detailed notes on the cancellations or the changes or the whatever, like if you're just looking at OpenTable and you open it up and then, or someone calls like, hey, I'm so sorry, can you switch it? You're not looking back to see the entire history of that. You're like, oh yeah, sure. Let me just go ahead and change that for you real quick.
Right.
As opposed to, you know, oh, hold on real quick. Let me see how many times you screwed us over. You know what I mean?
Which you can still do technically real quick. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I know you can.
Okay.
It's got that little button.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
the
see
back.
like all their history and
Because
everything.
when you were at Vintage last year, you do remember that one party of 15 that made 10 reservations throughout the summer and
they
never showed up to any of them.
didn't show up to one of them.
Wow.
And then I blacklisted them and they made 5 more and I canceled every single one after that.
Did you tell them? Or
Huh?
They
They never picked up the phone. They never picked up the phone. And I charged them multiple times and they've never fought it. And funny enough, they made reservations for this year as well, but they showed up the one time.
Wow, really?
With super obnoxious kids running around the restaurant. So I blacklisted them now.
Yeah.
Like there's
For real
the
now.
real
I
blacklist.
feel like the vintage blacklist is like, it can be soft from times. It's like, okay, so they threw a steak knife at us, but let's just see if this one time.
Exciting. It was
they'll
entertaining. I don't know
act
what you want me to
right,
say.
you know? Or I'll look at his mom and I'll be like, they're blacklisted. She's like, well, we're just going to see how they go. We'll just see
Well,
what
the
happens.
funny thing is that people also will write a super negative review, like a 2-star or a 3-star. I'm never coming back. And then you see them when you label them as a warning blacklist, make reservations again. I'm like, why? Why are you
Why
coming
write
back
that?
if you hated it so much to begin with?
Exactly. But some people are just chronic complainers.
Yeah, I
Right?
know.
That's just what
So-
they do. But you ever experienced where you call to confirm reservations and the number is out of order? What's not the correct number? Because I know that happened with Shimon. They called and they wrote a note that they couldn't get a hold of the person, and the person, whatever, came in and complained about whatever. Well, no one called me. Well, you didn't give an updated phone number. Like, what do you want?
If they didn't give one.
Right.
Because I think that when they do make an account, they have to have a proper phone number because then it sends them a text message for verification. If that makes any sense.
and then you have to verify
So
it.
if we took it over the phone and we put it in wrong or they gave it wrong, then it doesn't really matter at that point. But I know what you're saying. When you make an open table account for yourself to make reservations,
They
you need the
verify.
verification of the email and the telephone number as well as the credit card, to be honest with you. So
Yeah,
Right.
like if it's, let's just to put it in perspective, if I get a phone call on a Friday night and someone's like, hey, there's 2 of us coming in tomorrow, can we get a reservation? Personally, I don't take their credit card information. it's the day before. Clearly we had a spot open. Nobody
Right.
took it yet. It's a 2-top. They're very likely to come. If it's 3 or more, I always like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts because now that's 2 tables that have to get pushed together. Or that's like a larger table.
Right.
So if it's 3 or more, always a credit card. And we've had people that call us and they're like, I noticed that you have like a reservation open. I'm like, yes, we do, blah, blah. Like, can I take your credit card? And they're like, well, that's why I didn't book on OpenTable. It's because I don't feel comfortable giving my credit card. I'm like, it is a secured website to start. Second of all, we are physically not going to charge a dime, not a deposit, not anything, unless you no call, no show, or you call same day to cancel. Well, what if something happens on that day? I'm like, you're already putting it out in the universe. I don't know. But at the end of the day, like this is a rule because we are such a small, we have 7 tables inside. 7 tables. If your 6-top comes in, that's taking up our only large table in the entire restaurant and or 3 tables along the booths. So you cancel or you no call, no show on the same day, then yeah, we just lost out on what we average about $50 a head, a stupid amount of money.
Right.
Yeah.
But people don't care. They just don't want to be.
don't
But
care.
I've had people straight up say, okay, then we will not make a reservation at your establishment because you want our credit card information.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry that grinded your gears. But at the end of the day, this is just how we do business.
Right.
So what's the line of charging them and not charging them? They call and complain. I mean, I'm not a monster. So if they call super nice and beg, sure. But if they're like, I demand my money back type of scenario, no, you're not. Because first of all, you don't talk to people that way on the phone.
Right.
You don't even know what the scenario may be. But let's not have this conversation this way. So, but I've given in, like
I've
depending on
given
how
in.
nice they are. Because some of them are super nice and I'm really sorry. Let me pay a portion of it. It wasn't meant to, whatever. I'm like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. It's fine. But moving forward, just making sure, just to let you know that if you do not show up again in the future with a reservation, you're going to get charged. It
Right.
takes away from guests, takes away from the business, the food, the prep, and everything else. And, you know, sometimes if you have a lot of cancellations for whatever reason all at once, and you have like a half empty restaurant, it just looks weird. And I hate that.
Yeah.
That's when Yanni's atmosphere comes into play, you know?
Yep,
'Cause
absolutely.
It's part of the 3, even though it's last, it's still part of the 3.
I do have lines, you know, like I had a woman call the other day and she was just like, we called her and she goes, I'm so sorry. My husband called earlier and we told her, we're like, we're sorry. We don't have any voicemails. We don't have anything. And she hung up.
Yeah.
And Lena was on the phone with her and Lena calls back and she doesn't answer. So then she calls, I pick up the phone and she was like, I am so sorry. My phone died. I had to wait for it. Like, at that point, it felt like she was just ignoring our calls because it was going straight to voicemail.
Right.
And she goes, my phone died. I had to wait like 5 minutes for it to come back up. I just have severe asthma and all the smoke from Canada and everything was around and they had an outdoor reservation. We were booked inside.
Right.
And so she was like, I told my incompetent husband to call y'all and cancel the reservation. He clearly forgot. I completely understand if you have to charge us. I support small businesses. I totally understand. And I cannot wait to come back in.
Wow.
But I just cannot be outside with all of this with my asthma. And she sounded hoarse.
Right.
And Lena thought that she was like whispering like, hello, like trying to be dramatic. And she was like, no, I just am really suffering from asthma. And I was like, you know what? I really
that was really good.
Thank you. But I appreciated that. She was like, first of all, the second she said my incompetent husband, I was like, she's pissed, you know, because she clearly told him to cancel it and he didn't. But she was like, I completely understand. Charge me, whatever. It was a 2-top anyway. So I was like, no, I don't care.
I got you.
She was really cool. And if we don't charge her, like she's even more likely to come back. She probably would have come back anyway, but she's even more likely to come back now. And then, you know, on the other hand, we've had people who I called them and I left them a voicemail, like, just to let you know, you are 15 minutes past your reservation. We will hold your table for another like 5 minutes. But if we don't get a call back or if you don't show up, we will have to charge $20 per head as per our OpenTable rules. I've had people call back and they're like, well, I'm like, something happened, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm so sorry. We just didn't get anything. Like, we will have to charge. Or being the owner, I've played the, I'm so sorry. I'm just a server here that's out of my jurisdiction. Let me pass this along to the owner.
Don't share
I'm
your
like,
secrets.
Peter, charge. But at the end of the day, it's like a lot of it, you can tell, first of all, you're telling me you can't make it. And I hear a beach bar band like hanging out in the background. You hear people screaming in the background. You're out having fun. Your grandma didn't just die.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
shame on you for putting that on grandma.
Yeah,
You
shame
know,
on
A lot
you.
of people do that. I found a lot of people just make up the most outlandish stories to get out stuff. And it's very common nowadays. That's why I don't believe anyone. I think everyone's full of shit,
We should
personally.
do a segment where it's the worst excuse you've ever heard type of scenario for anything when it
Yeah.
comes down to the restaurant field.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few.
Yeah.
And people wonder why you can't get like a lot of like Applebee's and like those chain restaurants, they don't take reservations at all.
Yeah.
And that is why people get so mad. It's because of people like you, like
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
keep canceling and
absolutely.
you don't
So
care.
you go and wait for 3 hours till your table's ready. That's what you want, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so
Well, cool
for
beans.
yeah, for our viewers out there, don't
Don't. Just don't.
Just don't. Respect the reservation. Respect the small business or the big business.
Or
It
any
doesn't
business,
matter.
yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna cancel, but do it earlier, not 2 minutes before your reservation
Or
or
15 minutes after.
15 minutes
Right.
after. And if you're not gonna show up, just let them know so they can do something appropriate. Maybe there's a wait list. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think
Don't be
about
selfish.
Yeah.
And
All
don't
right.
blame your grandma.
Poor granny.
All right.
I'm Nikos.
Well,
And Lewis.
Thanks
Okay,
for-
pop. Post.
Camera 2.
camera 2.
Happening. Oh, we had this issue the other day.
That's how you work out your neck muscles.
What?
It's just
It
this
keeps
whole
moving.
board is falling down.
I'll just sit.
I'll fix it after this episode. Are you
You
gonna
just
be
want to
okay?
scooch the chair up.
Oh yeah. It didn't cross my mind. I was like,
Just a little.
I'm gonna kill behind me.
We'll take down the whole wall, put it back up.
Okay. What can I say? Sometimes me, my brain doesn't work. Okay. Good thing the troubleshooter's here.
What you got? What do you want?